Welcome to our council meeting. This is our first one for 2023, isn't it? It is, isn't it? It seems like the year's well underway, but so welcome to our first meeting. And warm welcome to Jocelyn from our Love Point Church. Please come and join us, and we invite you to open our meeting.
Good morning. Is it too late in the year, seeing we've passed January, to say Happy New Year? Happy New Year anyway. A little bit about what's on my heart just before I pray. As far as church goes, not a lot's happening at the moment. It's January, we've got long weekends, people are away a lot of the Sundays, but tomorrow I'm taking the funeral for that gentleman that had been dead in his flat for quite a few days before he was found. And again, it's just highlighting for me the absolute need we have to check up on one another, to look out for one another, and not just presume because someone's smiling that they're okay. And it sits as a burden on my heart, especially as our church is right next door to the Woodlark Flats, and just pondering what we can do more to make sure of that. But anyway, that's what's on my heart. Let me pray for what's on your busy schedule today. Loving Heavenly Father, I thank you for the men and women around this table. I pray for them today and the decisions that they need to make. And I ask that you would pour out your wisdom on each and every one. Father, I pray for unity on this team. Father God, where there is a difference of opinion, I pray that they will all be able to disagree agreeably, that there will always be unity and care for each other's well-being around this table. I give you thanks again for them, Lord. I pray for each and every one in your precious name, Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you for those words, and also that reminder. And, you know, to think that that is happening in our community is a reminder to us all to take care and look out for each other. Apologies, none this morning. We have a full team, and we go straight to item 3, which is the request for leave of absence. We have 2, one for Councillor Hadfield and one for myself. Those dates are there. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Ford.
Your Worship, I move that the requests for leave of absence from Councillor Grant Hadfield for 27th of February to 3rd of March 2023, and for Mayor Helen Warboys from 6th to 13th of May 2023 be approved.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Belsky. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. So we move to the confirmation of minutes from our council meeting held on the 15th of December. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Ford.
Your Worship, I move that the minutes of the council meeting held 15th of December 2022 be adopted as a true and correct record.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Blackmore. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Right, so as you can see from our agenda, there are no public forum presentations or notification of late items or recommendations from committees or minutes from other committees, as our community committees are just getting back into gear for the year.
Excuse me, did you do declarations of interest?
Good question. Thank you. Back to item 5, declaration of interest. Anything on the agenda today that elected members may need to declare a potential conflict? None? Great, thank you. Right, so we can move straight to item 11. This is the officers' report. We're on page 12. And this is the proposed traffic safety and road use bylaws. This is the hearing of the submissions. I'm not sure any of our submitters who are speaking to this are with us as yet. So we may move on, because the first one wasn't due to speak till 9:45.
We'll just adjourn that.
So we, sorry, 8:45. So we will take the next item first. We also have another submitter who will be speaking, which is Fielding and District Promotion, who expect to be here also at 8:45. So let's move to item 11.2. This is the Lagoima report and we're on page 82. Thanks, Kathy and Mel. Thank you. I'll hand it over to you just to highlight anything in the report that we have read.
Yeah. Mel's our information services manager.
Sorry, it won't be a second. Can pass all these submissions. Cool. Cool. So the Lagoima report basically just highlights everything from the last couple of months that we've had on the go. Some interesting kind of stats I thought were just looking at the last financial year compared to the 6 months that we've just had. We've had the same amount of requests in the last 6 months as the full year previous. So we're getting lots of requests for information at the moment. A few requests that have come through from staff and other media outlets. We had one complaint go through to the Ombudsman, which we've just heard back in the last few days that we've got a really good suggestion for how we're going to deal with that from them, which is the complaint from, is it Paul Bauer? Yep. And so basically we're going to contact the people who had submitted opposing the particular Apawai Road, yes, Apawai Road, and contact them, give them the details of Mr. Bauer, and then they have the opportunity to contact them, contact him if they would like to, and that just gets around kind of the privacy issues that we've been dealing with on that one. But I think everything's pretty kind of standard in that report. If anyone has questions, we can.
Thank you. Let's open it up for discussion and question. Councillor Blackmore.
I just have a question about whether or not you've been the types of requests, just to get a feel for, you know, maybe what's increasing over the last 6 months.
Yeah, sure. We haven't done anything like that, but we're definitely only just getting into our really kind of good reporting from it since the information team has taken over the Lagoima requests. So we've got lots of kind of thoughts and things around reporting that we'd like to do in there. And if that's something that you'd like to see, we'd be able to help with that. Yeah.
There seems to be a fairly standard, some key issues like the paper road obviously comes up, quite a few requests there. Anything that may hit the media or whatever, then we often get requests there as well. But yes, we'll be able to pull together a few reports.
I think that's a good point, Councillor Blackmore, that if there's any suggestions that we can offer the team to help how we manage our Lagoima and understand what the interest is, to do that better, would be appreciated. So thank you for that. Any other? Councillor Underwood.
Hi, I just noticed 2 of the requests were withdrawn. What's normally the case there? Is it the person submitting who withdraws it, or
Yes, when it's withdrawn, it's because they have withdrawn it. Sometimes that might be that we have been able to answer that request without the Lagoima process, so something that's already publicly available, and in which case they would then decide to withdraw it. But it's always kind of on them to make that decision.
Great, thank you. Nothing further. Right, so there is a recommendation on page 82. If I could have a mover and a seconder, please, for that. Councillor Ford.
I move that the report detailing the requests for information received under the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 from 21 September to 4 November 2022 be received.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Short. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thanks, team. Right, let's go back to 11.1. This is the proposed traffic safety and road use bylaw. This is the hearing of the submissions. We have 3 recommendations on the table that we need to go through before we turn to our speakers. And just remind you the purpose that is set out on page 13, the purpose of this proposed traffic safety and road use bylaw, of which we had 38 submissions and we have 3 speakers to listen to this morning. So going to the recommendations on page 12, can I have a mover and a seconder? I'm assuming it's safe that we can go through all 3 together, unless there's any reason why you would want to do them individually. Councillor Short.
Happy to move. 1, that council receives a report on the hearing of submissions to the proposed traffic safety and road use bylaw. 2, that council receives submissions on the proposed traffic safety and road use bylaw. And 3, that council hears from the submitters who wish to speak to the council.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Hadfield. Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motions are carried. Great, thank you. So as I said, we had 38 submitters. You've had the opportunity to go through those. So today is not about making any decisions. Today is about those who wish to speak to their submissions, allowing them the opportunity to do that, and you are welcome to ask questions. And then that information will come back to council for a further discussion and decision at a later date. So as I said, we've got 3 submitters there. Now, Kate's not here. So Fielding and District Promotion wish to speak to their submission. So Jan, would you like to come and join us at the table? And their submission is on page 44. So welcome, Jan, from Fielding and District Promotion. We have your written submission. It has been read, so you can take it as read, but you're very welcome to comment on it. And then there may be some questions.
Okay. For me, the biggest issue is when you walk into a business and this is a mild-mannered lady, and you walk in there with your bit of paper to say, you know, our November newsletter, and we've got the suggested parking map for business owners, and she just immediately flies off. And I completely understood her frustration. This is a business on Ferguson Street where there are probably 12 car parks taken up by staff from different businesses during the day, and they're there from 8 in the morning to 5 at night. So I completely understand her frustration. There's another business recently moved into CBD from an outer area, and they are now parking there as well. There are bank staff, there's accounting staff, there's all sorts of staff members, tech shops that park outside in front of you.
Thank you. So, but from a FDP point of view, have you got any potential solutions?
No, because it's not, I'm actually working on the security, the CCT stuff at the moment. And with that is a large body of work around seeing all the retailers to make sure that the database is accurate for first security. That's my number 1. And then if we can loop in those building owners there as well, we will. So at that stage, I will strongly suggest that we show them the parking map again and reinforce that it is to their advantage to leave those parks, free for customers. The other thought we've had, and we discussed it at our last meeting, there was a bit of a divide over whether it was walkwood work or not, was a sticker that goes on businesses that are customer focused, that they leave their parks for customers, and it's a big sticker, really nice sticker, and that goes on their front window. So they become known as businesses who are actually thoughtful owners. And so we've yet to decide, that's tabled again for the next security meeting on the 13th of February, to hopefully make a decision around that.
Thank you. I like the approach about supporting those who are proactive around this and understand it. Thank you. Let's open it up for questions. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. Jen, your discussions with CBD business owners, is there any support then for parking restrictions or parking wardens or that type of thing?
I would love council to take the lead on this,
Yeah,
to be honest,
but-
because
my question is, have you experienced any support for those types of ideas?
some are for parking meters.
Yeah.
They really are. And then there's a whole plan that says, this is friendly fielding.
Yes.
We're renowned for this, no parking meters. And I wonder whether it's just a case of actually limiting, putting those signs up that limit parking times to potentially a 2 to 3 hour window, and then it's moved. But then if we do that, how are we going to enforce that? We need to make sure that that is enforced. And maybe it only needs to be enforced for a month or 6 weeks. So if you get some heavy fines because you've parked there as a business owner for longer than, or a shopper for that length of time, it hurts them in their back pocket. They might think twice about doing it.
Thank you. Councillor Ford.
Thanks, Jan. One of the issues that often gets used as to why people do park where they shouldn't be is that it's parking out the back of buildings is unsafe, which is once again sort of moving into a security issue. And lighting has often come up, not so much in the summer months, but in the winter months when it gets dark at 4 o'clock and people work till 5 and they don't like going down dark alleys, etc. So I'm going, that's a somewhat historic, my knowledge. Is that a live issue today or not? It still is.
So that's, so we've contracted the services of Lincoln Product to rescope the 2019 security brief that was put for fielding, CBD. And he's already highlighted those areas that you're talking about. But when he comes down here on the 28th of February for the public security meeting, there will be the next 2 nights, the 1st and 2nd of March, we will be doing a complete stock take of the lighting here in fielding. And that's actually a really important part of the application process. But it does actually highlight those back car parks on what street's name now? Where Bunnings is along that, those car parks in there, those alleys up by the National Party office and Alan McNeil, head office. So those are really big concerns around that CCTV stuff. And Nick Lawton and I are meeting next Thursday to identify the sites for cameras.
Thank you. If I may follow
Thank you.
up, you've mentioned the 2 to 3 hours as something that we should think about. Would you acknowledge that the problem is not 6 days a week from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. We have some peaks, probably Friday from mid-morning till mid-afternoon would be the main peak. So I'm asking really, do you agree with that or not? And secondly, do you think it's a case of managing the parking that we have, or do you think that we also need some additional parking that we don't currently have?
Additional parking would be great, particularly for a Friday, but this isn't just a Friday thing. This is an every day, 5 days a week. When businesses are open, there's no parks. And look, the library moving into town has compounded the issue, but that's a short term. We can all see that those parks will be available in 12 months' time. So extra parking, yes, that would be great. Farmers are renowned for parking in those back car parks on that Bunnings Street, and even parking on South Street and walking through to the sale from that entrance, or even at the end of Ferguson Street where there's that. So they're a resilient bunch, and I know that they don't often park well in that back car park, but they don't park stupidly, you know. Yeah, this is a 5-day-a-week problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hackmore?
Thank you, Your Worship. It's really just a process question. Are we discussing what suggestions for next steps here, or are we just hearing from?
We're just hearing from submitters today, and so those comments that come and the responses to questions are being noted by our team, and then they will bring it all back for us to have that discussion. And Councillor Short.
Thank you, Jane. Actually, Michael covered my first question, which was around, is it a Friday problem or not? A number of people in the submissions have mentioned larger car parks for camper vans and perhaps farmers who've got a trailer on the back. Are there areas, I'm not aware, where people can and cannot park? Are there areas where bigger vehicles can park, or do you have any suggestions where bigger vehicles should be encouraged to park?
Compulsion Road through that and those double ones. That's the ideal scenario for those larger vehicles.
I mean, sometimes you even go into New World on a sale day and there'll be a farm ute with a couple of bags of fertiliser on the back because I can't park anywhere else near the sale.
Yes, and we don't have any designated parking for camper vans. That's why the information centre where it is a fantastic model, because then it's seen that growth through these, you know, since we've been back to work on the 9th of January, the number of camper vans and travellers has increased enormously, and that's from international and national tourists.
And are you aware of other towns that do have specific camper van car parks in there?
I know in Bulls, in the current state, they have parking at Tamatapihi because there's a dump site there, and there's the charging station, you know, at the old town hall there. No, it is very difficult, and they are big. I've actually seen them wipe out building awnings. Yes, so some designated parking for them would be fantastic, but how do you, I'm not sure where that Bolton Road is the only practical solution for that because of the double width parking there.
Thank you. Councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, thanks, Jen. And the guys, my colleagues have asked a lot of the questions I was going to ask. A couple of things. Are there areas in town where you can actually securely wrap a bike? That's sufficient, do you think? That's one question. And do you ever get any feedback on the width of the car parks that are available? It seems to me
yes,
that the no tax utes and all that sort of stuff that are coming in are bigger and bigger, and the car parks seem to be smaller and smaller. And I know making them bigger, of course, just reduces the number of car parks. But yeah, so critically, do you think there are enough areas for bikes to be securely tethered, if you want to tether a bike? And do you get any feedback about the width of the outlets?
No, we don't. And I would have to do a stock take of the bike number of bike parks we have in town. I know there are definitely two. I would have to look to see if there is more. Yeah, I'll come back to you. I'll do that stock take and get back to you on that one. As far as the width of the parking goes, yes, sometimes it is a struggle, and the work car is tiny, and sometimes you have to think about where you're going to park.
Thank you. Final question from Councillor Underwood.
It seems that for businesses the ones who rely on foot traffic, to have their staff park outside would be counterproductive for them. Those who more rely on appointment only kind of visits would be less worried about that, and maybe are the ones who are the offenders, I don't know. But I noticed on submission 12, the person who works upstairs said they notice every day the parking pattern, and it fills up between 10 and 1:15. And then before that, there's spaces, and after that, there tends to be spaces as well. With those back alley parking, I'm just wondering, whether it could be suggested that those parks are used and then the staff could move their vehicles after that busy period and say after 3 o'clock, bring them round so that they're not going round when it gets dark.
I received a phone call in December last year from a business owner on the corner of Ferguson and Stafford Street. Now, him and his wife own 2 businesses here in Fielding, one cafe and the car yard. He had approached one of the local offenders who take up 3 car parks outside their business every day and said, and they're friends, and his comment was not what I can say here. They actually don't care. These business owners don't care. That's the disgraceful nature of this repeat offending. They actually don't care. They think it's their right to park outside their business. They pay for their business, and those are the parks that come with their business. That's how they view that. This is the first time I've heard of that they're only taken up between 11 and say 1:30. I haven't heard that before from the business owner in Ferguson Street who, alerted me to some of these 2. Well, there's more than 2 that have alerted me to it. Said it's an all-day thing. It's not just between those hours. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen. Thanks for taking time to come this morning. So those comments are being noted. And also, as you're aware, part of our town centre refresh, parking is a topic that sits inside that project as well, but around this whole road use bylaw. So thank you for your submission and making time to come today.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Great. Right. Kate, welcome. Come and join us. Kate Wild's submission is on page 32, and Kate is the owner of Turnaround in the Square. So thank you for your submission, and look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, so I have typed something up, so I'm going to read that out to you. You've all received some photos I sent through, so I'll reference to those. My only error I have done on those photos is I should have done day by day, but I just too busy, I can't. So yeah, anyway, I'll start. So I'm Kate Wild. I'm a ratepayer here in Fielding, also a business owner on the CBD. I've owned Turnaround, a woman's pre-loved clothing boutique, since January 2017. Turnaround is situated in the heart of Fielding. You'll find me on Manchester Square. Currently, I'm on the subcommittee with Fielding District Promotions, where we're working and hope to get the cameras in town, ensuring that under veranda lighting is working, and also trying to prevent this all-day parking. All of our shops in town are full. Wasn't that long ago that there was a lot of empty shops in our town. We have 300 military personnel from Auckland moving into this region this year. We need those people to invest in our town. We need them to buy property in this town. We need to spend their money. They need to spend their money in our town. We need to be proactive and find a solution for this parking. So my submission was for the parking and cycle lanes. So I'll cover the car parking first. So as a business owner in this town, it is a constant battle for 7 years since I've owned the business. Something has to change. I can only speak for myself. However, I do talk to other business owners and they're just as frustrated as me. So in photo 1, you'll see a picture of the square, sorry, a little bit is cut out. So in between the B and Z and the corner where Casey Clinic is current, there's 35 car parks in that one area. On any given day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 13 of those are full with all-day parkers every day. All-day parkers are both business owners and staff. I've named some, maybe I shouldn't have named some. There is the vape shop has just opened 2 weeks ago. Their staff member is parking from 8 in the morning till they close at 6 at night every day. There's a lot of, the Bay Audiology, I've spoken with them. There's 3 of their cars every day. Casey Clinic, 3 every day. And it's every day. It's from the time that they open their business to the time that they close their business. It's from what I see from my little fishbowl window, it's not just a couple of hours, it's every day. So this is only what I see from where I'm situated. FMG, for example, it's quite clear that FMG park on both sides of their building. We all know that. Who else is in town at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning parking there? I have on a weekly basis, customers say that they wanted to call in earlier, but they haven't been able to because there was no parking. It's so frustrating. Imagine if those 9 to 13 all-day parkers, those parks could be turned around every hour. That's 117 extra shoppers in our town. 117 sales that we're missing out on, whether it's my business, the coffee shop next door, Vocal Point, potentially 585 sales a week that somebody is missing out on. It's not fair. It is just not fair. This is only what I see when I see it, but imagine what's happening in Ferguson Street. It's happening everywhere and we've got to do something. Unfortunately, Kiwis are lazy. So I do have a lot of photos. If you refer to, must be photo number 4, I think it is 4. Yeah. You can see there's 3 cars there that are parked every day, all day, and the milkman. And I get all these milkies and the bid food and the couriers, I get that they have to deliver, but it's just so dangerous. I mean, you can see how far out he is in that photo, and it is just so dangerous. And it's honestly, I see it every day, and it's just accidents waiting to happen. It honestly is. If they're parking, you know, sorry, I haven't numbered my photos. There is one where the milkman that I took yesterday, actually Wednesday, February, yesterday, and that's opposite Two Locals Cafe, and he was quite a way over in the middle of the road, and it's just dangerous. It really is. Something has to be done about that. I propose that there's a loading zone put in. I think that is a good solution to getting these trucks off the middle of our roads. Although I'm moaning about lack of parking, but perhaps the 2 parks opposite the toilet block would be a perfect avenue. Those milkmen, the courier drivers, you know, they could access it and do their rounds, you know. I don't want to pick out at the milkman, but there's often women or people that are stuck in their cars because he's parked behind them and they can't get out. They have to wait till he's finished, you know, delivering the product. I mean, obviously I've gone on quite a bit about my photos. There is one there on Friday the 13th at 9:53. And the milkman's parked outside my shop and there's a car there. The whole road was completely blocked off. Nobody could get around. And, you know, that's 10 o'clock on a Friday. You know, it's something has to change. Where I am, it is a one-way street. People often don't realize it's a one-way street until they're in it. So if you actually stand like from down where Beresford Bakery is and look down, the no exit sign is facing that way, which no cars come. If you're coming from the sale yards down and making a right-hand turn, you've already turned before you see that sign. So again, some of the signage probably needs to be repositioned. Yeah, I mean, every day there's people through that street the wrong way. How many of you here are a cyclist? What do you think of the cycle lanes? I don't know who invented them, but my gosh, clearly they don't ride a bike. Whoever designed the cycle lane and approved it, I ask you to grab yourself a coffee and go and sit outside Fielding High School. And you've got bus lane, cycle lane, footpath. How does that work? Again, it's just so dangerous. So dangerous, incredibly dangerous. So my proposal, if you're going to take my thoughts on board, is a 3-hour parking limit. I don't want to see metered parking. We get a lot of people in Fielding because of the 3 hours. People are lazy. New Zealanders are lazy. I really don't know, but I mean, it's honestly, it's so frustrating on a daily basis to see the same cars park. And if you confront them, you know, they don't care. They honestly don't care. So the council needs to be proactive, because us business owners, you can't, you know. I proposed that the loading zone is introduced purely on a safety factor to get those big trucks off the road, get them off from double parking, make them walk a couple more yards. You know, the couriers park opposite Bay Audiology where that tree is. It's the narrowest part of the road. And again, traffic can't keep flowing. I would like to see that the council works with FDP and commercial real estate agents to put together some kind of welcome to Fielding business. And perhaps that there has, when your commercial agents are showing someone some empty shops or buildings or whatever in town, maybe at that time they're explaining the car parking. Maybe that's a good avenue to go to. Maybe when we know these new businesses are in town, they get a welcome to Fielding pack from the council, tells them when the recycling is, tells them all that information, tells them where they can park. I just challenge yourself all to come and grab a coffee, come and sit in my shop for a while and see for yourself how frustrating it is.
Thanks, Kate. Let's open it up for questions. Councillor Hadfield.
At the I'll risk the wrath of the chair, Kath, and actually, Kate, I'm not going to ask you a question. I'm actually just going to thank you for a very well informative, factual presentation, actually, Kate, and thank you for the suggestions that you've plonked in there, because there's a lot of sense, a lot of reality.
Yeah.
As I say, fact, no fiction.
Yeah, honestly, come and have a coffee with me and see it for yourself, because it's incredibly frustrating.
So if I have to ask a question,
yes.
Do you think you did good?
Actually, I needed photos on a day where it's just constant every hour the same cars, and obviously school's only just gone back, so I couldn't get that photo. But yeah, I think I've done all right.
Seriously, Kate, very well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, well done.
Thank you. Councillor Short.
Thank you, Kate. The photos tell 1,000 words, honestly, they do. But I'm certainly was aware of the trucks going to the cafes, because you sort of almost got 3 around you, haven't you? But I wasn't.
And they all need deliveries. I'm mindful of that. Absolutely, they do.
I like your suggestion of the loading zone. I wasn't aware of the staff parking there so much, so thank you very much for highlighting that. I have seen 2 cars back out from either side there and bump into each other, and you might see that
nearly every day.
Yep. Yeah. And I think Grant witnessed me a couple of years ago, if you can remember. I was parked and you asked me why I was climbing in the car through the passenger door, because the car on the other side left me about that much room, and I wasn't very graceful, was I? But I got there. But and I think too, we're getting bigger vehicles, like even
the vehicles are bigger.
Yeah. 4-wheel drives and SUVs are bigger too. So, but your photos, absolutely to 1,000 words. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks. Final question, Councillor Belsky.
Yeah, I'll agree with Councillor Hadfield about your presentation. It's really good, but I can go back to the 60s, the 50s, and see the man go round and chalk our tyres.
Yeah.
And there was nowhere near the cars there now.
100%.
And we have all this growth out here.
Yes,
so
absolutely we do. Yeah, and that's the problem we have. Well, not a problem, it's a great problem. All these people investing our towns, our subdivisions, everything like that. But we've done nothing in town to create more parking. And people are lazy. Unfortunately, they do want to park right outside their shop that they're going to. That is just the Kiwi nature. But we've got, Vocal Point, perfect example. Their 3 o'clock starts, they park outside my shop. Absolutely have no problem with that, because they're finishing at 10 or 11 o'clock and you want them to be the safest they can. But when you're working Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, you're just lazy.
No, thanks.
Absolutely. I want to thank you too for your presentation and the effort with the photos around that. It makes it live, but more importantly, some of the solutions that you've put forward. I think that's really important for us to have a look at. So thank you for taking time to write your submission. Be assured that we've taken it on board. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melinda, come and join us. Welcome. Now, Melinda's submission is on page 50. Thank you for making your submission and for taking time to join us this morning. Your submission has been read and you're welcome to speak to it.
Good morning, all. This is the first time I've actually spoken or even made a submission. So although I'm not entirely sure of the process or even sure if this is relative to the bylaw, that although it is a traffic safety issue. I'm speaking primarily about the 2 to 3 kilometre stretch of Halcombe Road, starting at the end of West Street and extending out past Mount Taylor Drive. I've lived at number 86 Halcombe Road since September 2020 and have witnessed virtually on a monthly time a vehicle accident on that stretch of road, including one fatality outside my house. I wasn't there at the time, but certainly heard about it. With the traffic, the volume of traffic along that road now, the risk is increasing ever more. And there are several reasons, I believe, for the high accident rate. One is the excessive speed around the bend at the top of the hill. At 70 kilometres per hour, it's impossible to get around that corner. It is rated at 55, but vehicles coming up the hill seem to think once they reach the corner, they can just plant their foot and go for it. Simple solution is to reduce the speed limit to 50k. Out, I believe, to be on Mount Taylor Drive. That point, primarily, the Mount Taylor subdivision is huge. There is new houses going up there every day still. Since I've been there, just from what I can see, there are 10 new houses. So that's there is only one entry and exit point into that subdivision, which is Mount Taylor Drive. I do a fair amount of walking and cycling. And yeah, you walk down and there's traffic coming and going up that road every day. It's all got to come out onto Halcombe Road. The second contributing factor to the accident rate on that bend, I feel, is also the width of the road. It's primarily, it's the inside lane heading down the hill. There are, well, I count probably 1 or 2 a minute multi-axle heavy trade vehicles going around that bend. It's the width of the road is only the width of the truck. There is a barrier on the inside of the bend, which has been totally destroyed. It was restored just before Christmas. It's been completely, virtually wiped out in that time because the trailers on the trucks just hit the barrier. What's today? Thursday, Tuesday, a vehicle went through the barrier off into the side. There's vehicle marks out in all the agapanthus and back out onto the road. So he obviously missed the corner as well. So my solution to that would be to remove the passing lane. If the speed limit is reduced to 50 going up that hill, there would be no need for the passing lane. Therefore, the lane on the other side could be widened, and it would also leave room on the shoulder for a cycle lane or a pedestrian lane. As I said, I'm a walker and a cyclist. I cycled down that road once. A truck went past me. I could have reached out and touched it. I got off my bike, turned around and walked home, took the car down. I've never cycled down that hill again. But I do see people now on a regular basis cycling along past my place, walkers, etc. Yes, mostly, it's mostly the multi-axle vehicles that, yes, they are going too fast, along with ordinary vehicles. Motorbikes are very good at suddenly opening up the throttle once they get around the corner. It's not very nice having a huge logging truck or long haul suddenly throw on its air brakes outside your house at 3 o'clock in the morning because he's suddenly realised that he's got a 55-kilometre corner to try and get around, and he's still doing 80. So, anyway, that's obviously I realise there is probably other issues throughout the area as well, and it all comes down, I think, to road safety in rural areas. I know it used to be that the speed limit was set Once you got outside the town boundary, I think it was 70 kilometres so far. And then wherever they could make it 100 kilometres. I know there have been more fatalities along the Halcombe Road in the last 12 months. So I would believe that there would be a need to reduce the speed from Fielding, even right out to Halcombe, to an 80 or a 90 kilometre area. There are some very seriously sharp bends, and I do have other people I know along the road who regularly speak of trucks going through their fences, vehicles, motorbikes being dropped on the side of the road. A lot of them are not injury, a lot of them are not serious, so they're never reported, but I would say it's happening on a weekly basis along that road. So, that's pretty much all I have to say. I'd like you to take into consideration my thoughts, and also generally on the road safety in rural areas. I've lived in a rural area all my life, and farmed for 40 years. So yeah, I'm certainly not, I'm not an angel on the road myself. So.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you for taking the time, but really like some of those solutions, you know, the fact that you've thought about how you might solve that, to put that into the mix for our team to have a look at. So appreciate that. Is there any quick questions from anyone for Melinda? Councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, thanks, Melinda. I lived up at Mount Taylor for 10 years, and I think the corner, it's probably been pretty fortunate actually that the Fielding Ag Farm's a good runoff. But do you think that the engineering of that bit of road, or the camber on the corner, is insufficient?
To me, it's a little bit wrong, and I am actually a bit of an engineer by trade. I studied engineering at school. The camber runs out too quickly. So you come around the bend, and I've stood and watched, and there is a shoulder on the road, but all of a sudden the camber disappears and the road goes flat. So, but again, it's a speed thing. If they're going too fast, they hit the white paint on the shoulder and they're gone. Yeah. So.
Thank you. Councillor Bell, did you have your? No, Councillor Short.
Thank you very much, Melinda, and for a first-time presenter, you've done very well. Well done, you. I drive Halcombe Road a lot because I live at I live north of Halcombe. So looking at the road as a whole, one of the other issues on Halcombe Road is there's not many passing opportunities. If you are driving to State Highway 1, the Halcombe Hill is the last passing opportunity in a passing lane before you get to the Westow Hill. So do you think a lot of cars come around the second corner and suddenly realise there's a truck and think, oh, I'll squeeze in and overtake here because otherwise I'll be stuck behind it for the next 10 kilometres? You've seen when people are overtaking, are they overtaking lower down in the hill, or are they leaving it to the last minute and not getting caught on that corner, do you think?
It's both. A lot of what I see, and because I have to turn, once I go around the corner, I have to obviously stop and turn into my driveway. You get them at the bottom of the hill, suddenly think, oh, I can do 70k now. Down goes the accelerator. They get to the corner at the top and, oops, I'm going a bit fast. Yes, they come across a truck. My question would be, why are there so many big trucks, big heavy trade vehicles using that route? State Highway 1 is there for them. They're obviously taking the shortcut, and okay, yeah, costs and the like, but I feel it's a safety thing. The engine braking thing, they take no notice of the signs. To me, it's just one of those issues these days with the government initiatives and all that. I think we do have to look at speeds on our rural roads. As I said, I've lived in a rural area all my life. I ran a rural-based business for 25 years. I was driving 30,000 Ks a year, mostly on rural roads. And yeah, you see some very, very nasty near misses. And so And a lot of it is to do with heavy trucking. And yeah, they've got a job to do. I've got no problem with that. They've got a job to do. They've got bosses, they've got deadlines, they've got bottom lines. So, but I do believe the main highway is the places for those trucks to be, not coming down, trying to get around the roundabout up here by the BP. Some of them, it's just horrendous. So, yeah.
Thanks, Melinda. Thank you. Well done. And thank you for taking the time to come and make a submission and speak to it and some of those suggested solutions. So they will certainly be taken on board. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good. Well done.
Thank you. So just to finish this item, Hamish has disappeared. Oh no, there he is. Sorry. Or it may not be in your area. Just to explain, particularly for our new members, the process from here with these submissions.
You wish. I've got Brittany, who's been dealing with this process right throughout.
Thanks, Brittany.
The next council meeting will deliberate on the bylaws, so that will be taking all the feedback from the community and deciding what you want to do with it. In the report as of officers, we've made some suggestions what responses could be. So we'll go over that at the next council meeting, and then the one after that will be adoption.
Great, thank you. So my suggestion is that you hang on to the submissions you'll have made notes through them as you've read them, and bring those back when we have that discussion. Excellent, thank you. Right, moving on to item 11.3, we're on page 96. And this is the appointment to external organisations. Now, Kathy, you taking us through this, or Ash, or?
Yeah,
it's pretty straightforward, but you're welcome to highlight.
Yeah, not much to add. It's just for completeness. It's my error for not including those in November. So it's just, most of them are prescribed anyway. It's just second formalise it.
Right, thank you. So this is just tidying up the appointments that we've made with the new council. Over to you, Kathy.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, we missed a couple of appointments when we went through the process in November, so it just is a tidy up. And Ash is actually the one who's written the paper. So we want to just make sure that we're confirming the following appointments and that you're comfortable with that.
Thank you. Right, so let's open it. Questions, comments. Councillor Hadfield.
Actually, your worship, it's that simple. I'd just like go straight to the recommendation, if that finds favour with my colleagues.
I just have a question.
Councillor Blackmore.
I know, thank you. I note that the proposed appointment is primarily the mayor, chief executive a couple of times. I'd just like to understand, is that, I think Ash, you mentioned it was kind of, they're appointed by requirement, or so just a comment on why those might be?
So it was originally when I left it out in November. I didn't think they were required, but when I had a look back at the resolution from last triennium, it did specify that it was only for the last triennium.
Yep.
So I put it into this one and specified this triennium. Just there's a council resolution to that effect.
Thank you. I'll ask Shane to also explain, but there are at least 3 there that are regional committees, and it is at the regional chiefs level. So all the mayors of the Horizons region sit on those. Obviously the disaster relief fund doesn't kick in unless we have a regional disaster of that level, at which level the mayors are involved in that emergency management event. So, and that was changed to have the mayors sit on that rather than appointments.
Yeah, thank you. Not contesting it, just seeking to understand.
Absolutely. Shane, would you like to add?
There's also a couple there where the documents associated with each of those entities, such as Heartlands Contractors and Memorial Park, specify who will be either on the electoral college or as directors.
That's a good point. Did you also want to explain, particularly for our new elected members, the Heartland Contractors?
So Heartland Contractors is a company owned by MDC. It is a company, it's a limited liability company. It came out of privatising the parks, mostly the parks and work that the council used to have in-house and then shifted into a private entity. Essentially the work that Rec Services does now. They did a little bit more than that, but that work was eventually contracted out, but the company remains there because it has tax credits.
Thank you. And I think the important thing in this process is some of these meet quarterly, some only meet as required, as and when required. So some haven't met for some time. That when they do meet, that there is communication back to the full team about what the agenda is and what decisions, etc., are made there. Councillor Campbell.
Just a question perhaps through Ash, in regard to Manfield, who the appointees were for that last term. I thought there was a wider group than just the mayor and CE that were on that appointment committee.
I actually queried that one myself, thinking that the mayor's always sat there, but my understanding is that we had one other elected member, and if any of our team can recall.
No, what happened was that Francis stood in for me for one of the appointments because there was a conflict of interest.
Okay. So we didn't have another elected member on there. So each of the set laws for Manfield Park have two representatives. So it's two from each of the set laws. So the two that were set up from council was the CE and the mayor.
But there's also provision for you, if you can't attend the electoral college meeting, for you to have a proxy.
Right.
Thank you. And the other one there for explanation, the Youth Development and Wellbeing Trust, that's a trust that was set up between council and the police. So the trust deed states that the trustees, there are only 4 trustees in that deed, but the 2 are the mayor of the day and the officer in charge of fielding police of the day. So if there's no other queries, Councillor Hadfield.
Wasn't quite that simple after all, Your Worship. Anyhow, happy to move the recommendation that the council confirms the following appointments to external organisations as tabled. If you're happy for me not to read them all out.
Thank you. So I have a mover. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor McFadyen, thank you. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Great, so that tidies that up. So we go to, there are no late items to consider, so we can go straight to item 13, public excluded business. And I will move that the public be excluded from the following parts of the proceeding of this meeting, namely the confirmation of minutes, the section 17 review, the South Street land sale, the road network procurement strategy, and the Awahuri Forest Kitchener Park trustee vacancies. So I'm happy to move that, seconded by Councillor Ford. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you.